Put Saturday's game in perspective.
Yeah, it's going to be a road trip in October. So, there's always some challenges there with weather and different things like that. And they're 3-3. They got some really talented guys. They're playing much better offensively this year, and they've got a little quarterback rotation that's working for them right now. So some dangerous guys, dangerous athletes, and they're doing some unique things right now. And I think they'll feel like their backs to the wall a little bit as well. So we got to be ready for anything.
Mm-hmm. Biggest challenge? You've seen the film. What are you up against?
Well, dynamic pass game and a quarterback package with that backup freshman quarterback they got. He's a dynamic runner, and he does an amazing job of finishing in the red zone for them. So he's been punching them in when they get inside the 5. And then the other challenge is different defensive structure. So a few weeks ago, they changed their entire defense. It looks like maybe at the coordinator position or something, but they're totally different defensively from a structure perspective, scheme. So it's like two totally different defenses. So you're really only working off of a few games of film as opposed to an entire season. And this defense is just a little bit more unpredictable, a little bit more dynamic in terms of them playing a 30 and just lining up differently. So there's a challenge there.
You've won 2 in a row. How do you make it 3?
Just keep finding our winning formula, which is going to be protecting the football, winning in the kicking game, and then winning those physicality and explosive play battles. And I thought we did that last week, and now we got to go and do it again, back to back. That's what's tough is doing the same thing over and over again, and when people are expecting it. So we'll have our work cut out for us, but we've got our formula. We got things aligned in our program right now. We're going to have to go out and play our style of football and just have our kids. Our young guys go out and just play some of the best football that they've played all year, because we tell them all the time in October now it's a different deal, so you got to just get better, and each week it's got to be like you feel like you just played better than you have all year long, and that's the key to getting hot at the end of the season, which I think our team is starting to do.
Do you read anything into momentum, or do you feel like you have momentum?
Well, yeah, I think every game's unique, so but it's more of that momentum of like that winning energy in your building throughout the week, and we have that again now. We were missing that for a little bit there. The guys, earlier in the season, they certainly weren't feeling sorry for themselves or anything like that. There wasn't negativity, but it's just different when you're coming off those wins and you're starting to string it together. There's a different feeling, and I think we got that back a little bit. So now we got to keep it rolling, try to get it going 3 weeks in a row.
Quarterback-wise, again, what's the situation? What's the status?
Yeah, so we're going to continue to roll with Russell Weir. And he's had a great week of practice, and Anthony Leo's coming along a ton. So just rolling with those 2 guys this week and being ready for what challenges they're going to have thrown at them, because I'm sure that defense will have some things ready in terms of trying to neutralize those guys and take away their skill sets. So should be good, but we feel good about these guys.
Mm-hmm. And again, maybe put that in perspective. The experience is invaluable, right? I mean, the more snaps he gets in a real game situation just makes him a better quarterback?
It does, yeah. The good guys are able to see something, and maybe they make a mistake on it or they don't execute on it, but they go and learn from the film, and then they go, okay, I've seen that before. If I get that again, I know where I'm going with it. And I think that's what our guys are starting to do now, and that only comes from that game experience, with those bullets flying, because it's one thing in practice, but it's another thing to go through that scenario in the game, be able to take a look at it, then practice it the next week and know if this comes in the game again, I'm going to be ready. And I think that's where we're getting at with that position now.
How about your running game? What can you say about that? I mean, again, consecutive weeks, record-breaking.
Yeah, the offensive line is really settling in right now. We've dealt with some injuries, some unexpected lineup change, but these guys are really starting to settle in, and they're getting a good feel for what we're asking them to do and how physical they need to do it. And when you put, the H-back play that we have right now in complement to that with the style of runners we have and how those guys are seeing it and hitting it, we're going to have to lean on the run game right now. And like I've said, it's not going to be pretty down the stretch. It's going to be gritty football. And I think the run game speaks to that. And we'll need it, And we're going to need to mix it up and throw it, obviously. But I think the strength of our team you're starting to see offensively is starting to be that run game.
Coach, if you can speak about the defense a little bit, especially the guys up front been playing strong all year, but really filled up the highlight reel last week against Carleton.
Yeah, I think our defensive line is playing at really, really high level right now. Great personnel, getting some guys healthy, dynamic guys that can rotate in and do different things, the ability to play a 30 or a 40, and then the scheme behind it, sound coverage, really good backer play. This defense is starting to come together. There's a lot of good football players, and they're putting together really good game plans, and they're playing an attacking mindset. They're tackling really, really well right now. So you're definitely starting to see our defense emerge as, I think, one of the stronger ones in the conference. And it's disruptive again, with Darien Newell breaking through and Van Wishart playing the way he is, and Olivier Mwembe starting to really settle into the scheme, and Eric Colonna commanding it all back there. This is starting to become a really strong defense.
Why is that? Just gelling or time together, or help me out with that?
Yeah, everything, really is. But that's the biggest thing, Mike, is just time together, gelling. The light bulb's starting to go off for some of the guys, and there's some good depth. We've had, despite injuries and whatnot, other guys have stepped in and played really well. So it's just the product of work being piled on top of work, and that game experience starting to take over, and the guys just really believing that they, can really impact the game and take it to the opponent and be an attacking style of defense.
Do you foresee a day when you're completely healthy?
I think so, yeah, absolutely. I certainly hope so. I mean, look, there's always going to be those season-ending type of injuries in the game, unfortunately, and we've seen our share of those as other teams have, but we are getting healthier at times. Each week it feels like there's somebody coming back into the lineup, and we certainly hope that'll be the trend to move forward and close this thing out.
I'll throw it at you. We're on the other side of the Thanksgiving weekend. Last time we talked to you, you were getting ready for the food drive down to Metro and through the game. How did that go, and what was the feedback for the team from that?
Yeah, really good. Seems like we did really well over 1,000 pounds. I think we fell just maybe 100 or 150 pounds short of last year. We'll chalk that up to weather and inflation, but it was great. Look, the guys love it. Even, being on the Friday, which was game day this year, but the game being at night and us being able to put the dress roster, in there for an hour in the morning, and then the non-dress roster guys in there throughout the afternoon a little bit. They loved it, and the feedback on social media and from the food bank themselves is great. So just really pleased with our guys and our commitment to that. And look, we just got to keep growing it, make it a little bit better next year. And it's something that we enjoy, and I think that the community enjoys as well.
You could tell. I was there for probably a good 45 minutes.
Yeah, good.
And they were enjoying themselves, and the people that were coming through the doors, they got it too, which obviously is half the battle.
Yeah, they're getting a unique experience when you walk through those doors and see those guys, because the one thing that is pretty common with football teams, especially university football teams, is there's an energy about them. 8 or 10 or 20 or 40 of those guys walk through the door, get ready, because there's going to be a lot of positive energy, a lot of presence. And when you park that in front of a grocery store, it can be something people just don't get to interact with much. They see the energy on the field, but they don't get to walk up and have a conversation with you or get cheered on as you're putting a can of food in a bucket. So that's what it's all about, is us trying to take that football energy and bring it to the consumer or the community member that's making a donation here, and just get them to enjoy that energy that comes from our football athletes.
I said to the guys, you don't have to be here, yet you are. That's such a big part of, at least your administration, the fact that you want to give back to the community, even though nothing says you have to.
Yeah, and there's more we want to do, but this is something that's rock solid for us. And again, we want to make it better than it already is, but I think our guys are doing a good job with it. But, even in our team meetings, talking about it and showing pictures of previous years, and we got some of our fifth-year guys, and we're showing pictures of them when they were in their first year, standing out in front of the Metro. They just look like babies, and the guys love that. They get a kick out of it. So I think that's inspiring, and again, just really pleased with how bought in our guys are to it.
And again, that shows there's more than football, obviously.
There certainly is, and there always will be, especially at a university like Queen's. Making sure these guys have a well-rounded experience and well-rounded development is really important to us. So this is just one more brick that we put on that kind of whole experience for the guys.
Niklas, I know we talked preseason how you kind of wanted to get into the passing game a little bit more. I don't have the stats in front of me, but that certainly happened this year. Can you talk about maybe your expanded role a little bit this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been great personally. I think I did have that one touchdown against Toronto. That was a completely new feeling to me. So I'm much appreciative of the expanded role. I'm hoping that as the season progresses, it continues to grow. Just expanded route concepts and stuff like that. But I think it definitely it helps the team as a whole because it's able to keep the defense a little more honest. And actually, kind of funny in that Laurier game, one of their backers themselves commented, "Oh, this guy's catching balls now." they actually have to account for it now. So it helps the team as a whole. Yeah.
Talk about Guelph.
Guelph, I mean, it's a big game for us. Every game up from this point on is a big game. Due to circumstances, we didn't have as strong a start as we would have liked to. Definitely a team that can be dangerous. They have good athletes, talented athletes. Speaking about their defense, I know they run a lot of 30 fronts, something we haven't seen too often thus far this season. But we have a talented offensive line, guys that they're starting to work very well together. So I'm not too concerned about it, but it definitely is a new look for us. But yeah, it should be a good game. Definitely big for us, important for us, especially for playoff seeding now.
I know we talked to Coach about momentum. Do you feel like there's something there?
100%. I mean, defensively this year, I think we've been fine. I can shout out any number of guys there. Offensively, we've dealt with issues, injuries, people playing positions that they hadn't quite expected they'd be. But I can really feel like we're kind of getting into our rhythm now, especially with new quarterbacks at that position and new offensive linemen. Everyone's starting to work very well together with one another, communicating well, and it just feels like everything's running smoother.
Again, is that just familiarity, or?
I'd say familiarity more than anything. Everyone, I'd say, had known the scheme beforehand, but it's just getting used to, the guys lining up next to you, who's under center, all that kind of stuff. So definitely familiarity.
You talk about running game's been strong all year, but really firing on all cylinders now. Sort of your role as a blocker, and then the offensive line too. How that can help lead the.
I mean, I'd like to say that I help in the running game on occasion. Yeah, I think again, I think that goes back to familiarity, and it's guys put into spots, and they're not used to. I mean, we've had a first-year true freshman offensive tackle starting this year. Very good player, but it's definitely a new experience for him, to see these to play at this level, and just the different level that defenses play at, going from the high school to university level. But I think it's kind of gelling for these newer guys now, what has to be done, and just the communication. I think that's the big thing. Once the game kind of slows down for these guys and they're able to talk with the guys next to them, it just makes everything so much easier.
Anytime we bring in fans to meet, either guys like yourself or coach, you're always mystified by the H-backs. Not quite a tight end, not quite a slot receiver, not quite a lineman. Speaking, thinking about your evolution in the pass game, your contribution to the run game, what does that do for the team schematically when you guys are executing at that position?
Yeah, I mean, it stresses defenses out because they have to decide, okay, do we add in another linebacker into the box? Is it going to be a run scheme? Or going back to the pass game, they have to wonder now, okay, do we stick someone in there that's going to be better in coverage, right? But then again, that just opens the run game if they're sticking a lighter body in the box. So I think, especially here at Queens, we do have a very dynamic group of guys at that position, a lot of tall, athletic guys who can really cause mismatches on the defense. If you put someone too small in there, then they're getting blocked down the field. And if you put someone that's a bit bigger, they won't be able to keep up with us in the pass game. So yeah, I think it stresses defense out a lot, especially when we're firing on all cylinders.
Thanks, Niklas.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. Andy, defensive lineman Darien Newell. Darien, not a breakout game last week, but certainly a big one here in the backfield. More than Carlton almost. Is that something you can build off of? Is that a momentum thing?
It was definitely I missed 2 games, so I was definitely excited to be back. And I think it definitely, getting back into the groove, it builds up going into Guelph for sure.
And then Silas back now too, so there's a lot of people coming at a quarterback from Queens football.
Yeah, we got everybody back, so it's going to be a big game on Saturday.
Can you talk about Guelph, what their quarterback and just the whole offense, the kind of the challenge that represents for you?
Yeah, we know they have a young quarterback room, but we know their O-line is very experienced and they have a really good running back, so we're kind of looking more to contain them as a group.
and then I know it's one game at a time, but you know, still have it in your hands to have a home playoff game. So is that extra motivation for the team to make sure you get it done against teams with the same record as you?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we love playing at home, so finishing out the season, winning the last 2 games would definitely help us with that situation.
Coach talked about earlier, you know, just kind of getting people back in the mix and getting people healthy. You know, when you look at the season, you know, you've had when you've been in the lineup, Van obviously has had some success, Silas back in the mix, Olivier settling in.
Yeah.
What does that do for a defense when you have so many guys who can pressure the backfield from different points of attack and you don't necessarily know who's coming when?
It allows us all to get in our groove, I guess, because like offenses aren't really sure who to focus on. So if they focus on myself, Olivier and Van and Silas will get open. They focus on Van, the rest of us will get open. So it gives us a lot of opportunities.
Are you a guy who likes getting the double team?
I wouldn't say I like it, but I got to deal with it.
Darien, and then just you played a little outside, a little inside.
Yeah.
What if you can talk about sort of your versatility there and how you can play sort of up and down the line?
Well, obviously with Silas out, like I had to fill in for him until he obviously came back. So I had to adjust. Playing outside, I obviously get to use my speed a bit more, but I still love inside for sure.
Back to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And then if we think like way back, you know, I'm curious because I don't think it's come up. You got a lot of praise for your performance at the East-West Bowl. Can you maybe put into perspective how that experience against, you know, the best players in your age bracket in the country set you up for the season you're having now?
Like going into it was definitely exciting because it was teams from all over the country, like some teams we may never get to see again. So I was able to like test my skills and see where I was, and I felt I did pretty good. And a lot of the guys I played against, like Cooper Hamilton, he played for Laurier, I got to see them this year. So I kind of picked up like some of their habits, what they do, and I was able to use it when I saw them this year.
And then just finally, we talked about all the guys along the defensive line and even the front seven. Any friendly rivalries about who can get to the quarterback first, or as long as the QB goes down?
It's definitely always a rivalry. Like the Silas coming back, Van being out there, Eric, even Olivier's getting his now. So it's all kind of we treat it like a race. Who can get there first?
Can you talk a little bit more about what you're up against playing Guelph? You've seen some film.
Yeah.
Help me out. What are you guys up against?
They have a very shifty running back and a very good backup quarterback. We've seen him play. He's very fast and he's very elusive, so we know we have to keep contained for sure. Their O-line's been together for a while, so we know that they're going to be experienced up there. There's not going to be a lot of mistakes being made, so we just got to position ourselves for success.
Yeah. Again, you guys must have momentum. I know Ben talked about it, but 2 consecutive wins. Help me out with that. What's feeling on the club? What's mindset?
Obviously, we're in a good place right now. As you said, we're 2 consecutive wins, but we're trying not to get too high. Obviously, because when we're losing, we try not to get too low as well. We try to stay steady. So going into the next game, we know our positives, but we also know what we need to improve on. So we're going to do that when we play Guelph this Saturday.
What do you have to improve on?
Just our basic rules, just making sure we're in position to success, not playing beat yourself football.
Awesome. Thanks, Darien.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No worries.